Happy Thursday to all of you. Deacon George is still up on that branch in the tree that I climbed for the Sermon on the Mount. You know, the last couple of days I've always mentioned putting yourself in the reading. And so like I say, I'm up there in the tree, up on the branch. In today's gospel, Jesus talks about reconciliation with others in our life before we bring our gift to the altar. I'm sure all of us, or at least some of us, myself included, have read this and thought to ourselves, that all sounds good, but I'm still angry at that person. Or I'm so embarrassed by what I did and how badly I made that other person feel, I could never ask for forgiveness. I'm going to share a personal situation that had to do with my father. I was very rude to him one day when I was 18 years old. He was a shop foreman at a machine shop in St. Paul, and I was fortunate from the age of 14 to about age 25 to work there summer vacations and any days off that I had from school, be it MEA or a Christmas vacation or spring break, whatever. I was able to hop in there and make some good money. But 1963, when I was 18, they were going to add an addition onto the shop, and they weren't going to hire extra staff for the summer. But my dad knew the foreman of the construction company. He asked him if I could work, on the construction crew that summer. So I was fortunate. First day of work, it was 90 degrees and humid. I was what you would call that 145-pound weakling. I had to get there a half an hour before the bricklayers did to get all their tools set out for them and the wheelbarrows and different things. Then the next 7 hours, 8 hours actually, I ended up working 9 hours a day, but the next 8 hours was carrying the 50-pound blocks, cement blocks, to wherever they needed them. Wheelbarrow and wheelbarrow and wheelbarrow and wheelbarrow full of the mixed concrete, so they had what we call the mud to, put down before you put the block on top of it and cement it together and that. Well, at the end of the day, they left at 4:30. I had to clean all their tools just so they'd be clean and ready for the next day. To say the least, I was exhausted, sunburnt, and every muscle in my body ached. My dad came around the corner of the building in the car and said, "Come on, George, get in the car, let's go home." Well, I had worked at the machine shop for 4 years. I'd learned every 4-letter word in the book, I think. And I exploded at my dad with every 4-letter word I had ever learned. I'm not getting in that car with you. I wouldn't get in that car if it was the last car wherever to get home. He kept urging me to get in the car, and the more he urged, the louder and more angry I got, and finally he drove off. I walked home about 2.5 miles. I don't know how long it took. But I got home, everybody was done eating, and my loving mother says, "George, I've saved supper for you." And I kindly declined. "Mom," I said, "I just can't eat. I'm not ready." I said, "I just need to take a shower." I went downstairs, took a shower. Then she's still there with a plate on the table. I said, "I can't eat, Mom. I've got to go walk this off." So I went and walked for the next 3 hours. And finally got home. I don't know what time it was, 9:30, went to bed. The next morning, woke up at 6 o'clock and it was raining heavily and the phone rang. Dad got the phone. It was a foreman from the construction company and saying they weren't going to be working today because it was supposed to rain all day. Dad came into my room and told me the news, and I said, "Thanks, Dad, appreciate it." And I turned and rolled over. Next day, Nice day, when a storm goes by, the humidity goes away and it cools down. And then next day I went back to work at the construction company and worked it for the rest of the summer. Nothing was ever said about what happened the night before. I held on to that. 1963 till 1983. My dad retired from the machine shop in 1971, the year I got married. And we bought the house, and Mom and Dad moved down to Florida and lived there permanently. They'd come up and visit me and my wife for 2 weeks in the summer, and then go out and visit my brother and his family for 2 weeks after us. And 1983 they came up, and Dad had early stages of Alzheimer's. And they said that they weren't going to be coming up any summers from now on. And the Holy Spirit moved me, because I've been dealing with that guilt all those years, that I'd never apologized to my dad or asked for forgiveness. So one day, the backyard, was walking around the backyard with Dad, and I said, Dad, I need this. I had him sit down on a bench that I have in the backyard, and I said, Dad, I need to talk to you. I started crying. I said, Dad, do you remember that summer that I worked at the construction company, and how I was angry at you, and I swore at you? I said, I'm carrying that. And I need to ask you for forgiveness. He stood up as I'm sitting on the bench, and he put both hands on my shoulders and said, you've been hanging on to that. He said, I let go of that by the time I got home, because I understood it was hot, humid. He even remembered the weather, the sunburn on my face and shoulders. He grabbed my hand and pulled me up and hugged me. He forgave me. That's something we all have to do. Is there somebody in our life that we either need to forgive or ask forgiveness for or from? That's what Jesus is asking us to do today. Who is that person we need to forgive or ask forgiveness from? Take that time to think of who that might be. If possible, go and see him, or at least give a phone call. Get rid of that burden. Don't carry it like I did for so long. By doing that, we're showing God's love to that person. We're showing our love to them also. And in return, God will show his love to us. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.